Hello, I'd like to welcome you to this class called Creative Writing. I am Dr. C.K. Phillips, Dr. Ken Phillips, and I will be your facilitator for the lessons in this class. Little background about myself. I have an undergraduate degree in English, have a master's in health and PE, and I have a doctorate in educational leadership with an emphasis in educational technology. I've been a high school English teacher, secondary English teacher for several years, where I taught classes dealing with all the lit classes, the American Lit, English Lit, World Lit, science fiction, whodunit, all of those types of classes dealing with literature. And in most of those, we looked at what the different aspects of the stories were, the settings and all those things that we'll get into, and also we did a lot of creative writing in relation to those. Last half of my career as a public K-12 educator was as a principal, where I was fortunate enough to be named as a Principal of the Year for the state of Tennessee 1 year. For the last 12 to 14 years, I've also worked as an online professor for the University of Phoenix Online, independent consultant. Following my career as public K-12 educator, when I retired, I went to work for the state of Tennessee as an independent consultant, working with schools in the area that did not make their AYP or their annual yearly progress goals. The last 5 years or so, I've worked as a grant writer and coordinator for either the local school system and most recently for the local community college in our city. I've published 3 novels now. All are fortunate enough to be rated 5-star on Amazon, and I'm just like a lot of you, okay? I'm sure that a lot of you have wanted to write for a long time, get into some kind of creative writing. And I did too. For years I thought that I wanted to try my hand at writing. Life kept getting in the way of that, and I just didn't have time. At least I didn't think I had time. The reality is I didn't take time to do it. The last 3 years, about 3 years ago, I looked in the mirror and I said, oh man, if you're going to do this, you better get with it. So since then I've published 3 novels on Amazon. They're available either as an ebook for Kindle or as a print. The first of those Comes the Awakening, followed by Echoes of Skeletons Past, and The Survival Initiative. All 3 are in the genre of mystery, thriller, a lot of international intrigue involved in those. Get to the why we're here. What is creative writing? If you look in a dictionary or online, you'll see something that's similar to this. Writing that expresses ideas, thoughts, or emotions in an imaginative, unique way. Okay, when we say imaginative, then we're talking about imagination or something that one can imagine, which is a fiction, okay? Creative writing is something that's made up, all right? The author may use facts, but use them to advance the story, and the story itself is fiction. Some types of works that are considered to be creative writing include flash fiction, a new category, a term we've not heard until recently. Just a short writing that's posted usually online, anywhere from 53 to 1,000 words. Short stories, we grew up reading and knowing what short stories were, anywhere from 3,500 to 7,500 words. Novelettes, term we don't see much anymore, and it's a writing that's somewhere between 7,500 to 17,000 words. Novellas are pretty popular now as a shortened version of a novel, anywhere from 17,000 to 40,000 words. When you get above 40,000 words, then you get to the big daddy of the creative writing, the novels. And that can be anywhere from 40,000 on up. Most typically, around 80,000 to 100,000 words. Other words that be considered creative writing include poems. Poetry is creative writing. An epic is an example of a poem. What is an epic? It's a long poem with a central character who goes through a lot of adventures in the poetry. An example of that is the Iliad, Homer's Iliad, and the Odyssey. Screenplays are also creative writing, as are songs. Blogs, another fairly new entry into the genre. In the last few years, we see a lot of blogs posted online. Anybody can do it, and there are sites that can help you do that. Works that would not be considered creative writing include academic writing. When someone does a study and publishes the results of that study or ideas about some new way of education, then that's academic writing and not creative writing. Textbooks, journalism. Journalism is a unique character now, it seems like. At one time, we felt like anything that we read that was considered journalistic, that it was true. Answered the questions, the who, the what, the when, the where, and the how. In the past year or two, we've extended that journalistic aspect. A lot of journalists have, to where they take one small aspect of something that's true and then weave a story around that may not be true. We've all heard the new term come out now, that it's fake news. Technical writing, directions, biographies, and autobiographies. By definition, they're a true account of somebody's life, okay? So they're not considered fictional creative writing. Some authors combine fiction and nonfiction. For example, the genre historical fiction. An example of historical fiction novel is A Dangerous Fortune by author Ken Follett. And this, he takes some true happening and then weaves a story around that. For example, if you read about The Dangerous Fortune, it says, in 1866, tragedy strikes the exclusive Winfield School when a young student drowns in a mysterious accident. His death and its aftermath initiate a spiraling circle of treachery that will span 3 decades and entwine many lives. So Follett takes one aspect, one true event, and then weaves a long story around that, which makes it historical fiction. Topics that we'll cover in this course, in addition to this introduction, we'll talk about where do you get ideas, know your audience, know your genre, titles and covers, characters, plot, setting, point of view and voice, formatting, and publishing. What will you gain from this course? If you're going to spend your money for this course and you spend your time working through the various lessons, what can you expect to get from it? How will it be valuable to you? If you do all the lessons, go through those, and in particular if you do the exercises that accompany some of those lessons, then you should be able to, when you finish, know what creative writing is and is not. Be able to identify your target audience. And you need to be able to do that up front before you write, because the target audience will determine how sophisticated your writing is, what your vocabulary is, how deep you go into some of the adventures, those kinds of things. And related to your target audience, know what the type writing that you want to do, what genre do you want it to fit in. Know some places to get ideas. As authors, we don't just close the door and turn the light out and sit and wait for some good idea to pop into our mind. There are specific ways that you can get ideas, specific places that you can go to help generate an idea, and we'll talk about some of those. Know the importance of titles and covers. Very important. We've all heard the phrase, you can't tell a book by its cover, and that may be true. but with over 4 million books that potential readers can get on Amazon, the first two things they see is the title and the cover. So if they don't catch their attention, if they don't look intriguing to them, if they don't look interesting in them, they'll never even open up the book. You should be able to know the types of characters and what their roles should be. We'll talk about the protagonists and the antagonists, secondary characters, all of those types of characters, and how they should grow and what they should do during the story. Understand the importance of plot. What is the plot? Plot is simply what happens in the story. The adventures, the things that happen from the beginning of the book or the story till the end. Understand the value of setting and know what it is. Setting in general is time and place, but setting really is a lot more than that, and we'll talk about some of those other types of things that you need to consider in the setting. Know what voice and point of view is. Okay, what's the author's voice? What's the point of view of the story? Whose eyes are we seeing the story through? Understand the value of formatting. And you may think, if I'm writing, why do I worry about formatting? If you intend to publish or even intend to post it online or let friends read what you've written, then the value of formatting is there, and we'll talk some about that. And we'll gain a short overview of publishing options that an author has. Next lesson, where do you get ideas? And know your audience. After this lesson or after any of the other lessons, if you wish to ask me questions or make comments or send something to me to look at, then you can contact me at authorckphillips@charter.net. That's authorckphillips@charter.net, and I'd love to hear from you. I'll look for you at the next lesson. Please join me there. Thank you.